Listen, I have been a senior diplomat for the Galactic Council for approximately 300 cycles, and I have seen some truly bizarre species. I have negotiated with hive minds that communicate through interpretive dance. I have shared ceremonial beverages with silicon-based life forms that metabolize actual rocks. But nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, prepared me for the humans. Specifically, nothing prepared me for Marcus Webb. The day started normally enough on Station Kepler-Nine, our premier educational facility where we host exchange students from newly contacted civilizations. As head administrator Vorn, it was my responsibility to welcome the latest batch of Terran students. Command had briefed us extensively. Humans were supposedly cautious, somewhat fragile, and obsessed with something called safety protocols. The first transport arrived right on schedule. The airlock hissed open, and out stepped 6 humans, all looking appropriately nervous and overwhelmed. They clutched their belongings, eyes wide, taking in the sight of our magnificent station with its crystalline viewports and hovering data streams. Then the second transport arrived. Out stumbled Marcus Webb, wearing what I would later learn was a shirt depicting a creature called a crocodile eating a beverage container. His hair was bleached by something he called the sun, and he carried a single bag that looked like it had survived several interplanetary wars. Day, he announced to absolutely no one in particular, his voice echoing through the reception bay. Bloody hell, this is mental. I blinked all 3 of my eyes in confusion. My translator implant was working, but somehow the words made no sense. Welcome to Station Kepler-Nine, I said, extending my greeting appendage in the formal manner. I am Administrator Vorn. You must be the final exchange student from Earth. Yeah, mate, Marcus Webb, straight from Brisbane. He grabbed my appendage and shook it with such vigor that my shoulder joint popped audibly. This is sick. Are those actual holograms? And is that bloke over there made of rocks? He pointed directly at Ambassador Krill, a dignified representative of the Lithoid Collective, who stiffened at being called a bloke. That is Ambassador Krill, I said carefully. And yes, his species is mineral-based. Perhaps we should proceed to orientation where, mate, can I touch him? Absolutely not. But Marcus was already wandering over, completely ignoring my protests. I watched in horror as he approached the ambassador, who was easily twice his size and could crush him without effort. Hey, rock guy? This is amazing. Do you eat actual stones? Can you feel this? Marcus actually reached out and tapped on the ambassador's arm plating. The entire reception bay went silent. 50 species from across the galaxy held their breath. Touching a lithoid without permission was a grave insult that had started 3 wars. Ambassador Krill looked down at this tiny human, his optical sensors glowing dangerously. You dare? Oh, sorry mate, that rude? My bad. Marcus grinned, completely oblivious to his near-death experience. I just got excited. We don't have rock people back home. Well, except for my geology professor, but he's just boring, not actually made of rocks. Something impossible happened. Ambassador Krill's sensors flickered, and he made a sound that our translators interpreted as laughter. This human amuses me, Krill announced. I like him. I felt faint. In 300 cycles, no one had ever made Krill laugh. The orientation session was somehow worse. I had prepared a comprehensive presentation about station rules, diplomatic protocols, and the 17,000 regulations that kept our diverse species coexisting peacefully. Marcus lasted approximately 4 minutes before his hand shot up. Yeah, quick question, mate. What happens if we accidentally break one of these rules? Like, hypothetically speaking, there are severe consequences, I said firmly, including expulsion, diplomatic incidents, or in extreme cases, imprisonment. Right, but like, if someone was just mucking about and didn't mean it. Ignorance is not an acceptable defense. Cool. And what's the deal with the cafeteria? Can we eat anything we want? I pinched my sensory ridge. The cafeteria is equipped to handle 600 different metabolic requirements. Simply state your species designation, and what if I want to try the alien food? Like, what does that purple goop taste like? That is nutrient paste designed for methane breathers. It would likely kill you, but probably not immediately, yeah? Marcus, please stop talking. The other human students were staring at him with expressions that I had learned meant embarrassment. But Marcus just smiled wider. Sorry, Administrator, I'm just keen to learn everything. This is the biggest adventure of my life. That word, adventure, should have warned me. Should have made me reassign him immediately. Should have made me put him on the next transport back to Earth. But I did not. Later that evening, I was reviewing supply manifests when my communicator exploded with alerts. Security breaches on Deck 7. Unauthorized access to restricted areas. Possible contamination in the xenobiology labs. I ran, which is difficult when you have 4 legs, and arrived at the lab to find Marcus standing in the middle of a room full of floating, bioluminescent specimens from Andromeda. Oh, hey, Administrator. He waved cheerfully while a jellyfish-like creature wrapped its tentacles around his arm. Look at this little guy. He followed me from the observation deck. That specimen is highly venomous and could kill you in seconds. Nah, we're mates now. I think he likes me. The creature pulsed with colors that meant affection in its species. That's impossible, I whispered. Those creatures attack any non-native organism on contact. Marcus shrugged. Maybe he can tell I'm friendly? Back home, I used to swim with sharks. You swam with predators? Yeah, for fun. I realized then that humans were not cautious at all. Command had sent us their very worst, or possibly their very best, that I honestly could not tell the difference anymore. By day 3, Marcus Webb had somehow become the most popular entity on Station Kepler-Nine, and I was developing what the human medical officer called stress-induced migraines. The incident reports were piling up on my desk like some kind of horrible monument to chaos. Incident Report 74 Alpha. Human Webb attempted to arm wrestle a chronic warrior and actually won. Incident Report 74 Beta. Human Webb introduced concept called barbecue to the communal dining area, resulting in 17 species requesting recipe for burnt meat. Incident Report 74 Gamma. Human Webb befriended the station's security AI by teaching it something called dad jokes. That last one particularly disturbed me because our security AI, designation Aria, had been programmed to be stoic and professional. Now it kept making puns about airlock protocols. Administrator Vorn, why did the photon check into a hotel? Aria asked me that morning. I do not have time for this. Because it needed to travel light. Marcus taught me that one. I wanted to deactivate myself. The real catastrophe began during the diplomatic summit on day 4. Representatives from 30 systems had gathered to discuss trade agreements, and security was at maximum levels. The Zephyron Empire and the Talon Confederacy had been in a Cold War for 6 decades, and this summit was supposed to ease tensions. Everything was proceeding smoothly. Too smoothly, I should have realized. Then Marcus wandered into the conference chamber, holding what appeared to be a recreational beverage and wearing shorts despite my 17 reminders about proper diplomatic attire. Oh, wrong room. Sorry, folks. He started backing out, then paused. Wait, is this the summit thingy? Can I watch? This is fascinating. Before I could respond, General Thax of the Zephyron Empire stood, his battle armor gleaming. Who dares interrupt these proceedings? Commander Velik of the Talon Confederacy rose as well, feathers bristling with aggression. This is an outrage. Remove this creature immediately. I rushed forward, ready to salvage what I could of my career. Esteemed representatives, please accept my deepest apologies. This human is merely... Hang on. Marcus interrupted, walking right between the two hostile delegations. You blokes have been arguing for 6 decades? What's the actual problem? The silence was deafening. You could have heard a molecule vibrate. The actual problem? General Thax's voice could have melted hull plating. The Talon Confederacy violated our sacred border treaty. Only after your empire encroached on our nesting grounds. Commander Velik shrieked. Right. Marcus nodded, taking a sip of his beverage. So basically, you're fighting over who crossed a line first? Mate, that's like every argument at the pub back home. This human compares our sacred dispute to a drinking establishment. Thax roared that I was already drafting my resignation letter in my head, but Marcus kept talking. Look, I don't know all the fancy political stuff, yeah? But seems to me you're both pretty angry about respect, right? Like, both sides feel disrespected. Of course we feel disrespected, they shouted simultaneously, then glared at each other for agreeing. Cool. So here's what we do back home when 2 mates are having a go at each other. Marcus grinned. You sit down, have a drink, and remember why you didn't want to fight in the first place. What did you lot get along about before everything went bad? The 2 leaders stared at him, then at each other. We once collaborated on the Helios Research Initiative, Thax said slowly. Our scientists worked together for 20 cycles. Our peoples shared art and culture, Velik added, equally hesitant. Before the border incident. See, you've got history. Good history. Marcus clapped his hands together. Why throw that away over some lines on a map? No offense, but in a massive galaxy, do those borders really matter more than not being enemies? What happened next would be analyzed by diplomatic scholars for generations. General Thax and Commander Velik looked at each other, really looked, for the first time in decades. Then Thax did something unprecedented, he laughed. This human child has more wisdom than our entire council of advisors, Thax said, sitting down heavily. Perhaps we have been foolish. Perhaps we both have been. Velik agreed, settling beside him. Within 2 hours, they had drafted preliminary peace accords. Within 4 hours, they were sharing stories about the Helios Initiative. Within 6 hours, Thax was trying to teach Marcus how to pronounce Zephyron greetings while Velik explained Talon, mating dances, that I found Marcus later that evening in the observation deck, watching the stars. You accidentally solved a 60-year conflict today, I said, sitting beside him with my tablet. Command is calling it a miracle. Nah, mate. Just common sense, yeah? People are people, even when they're aliens. Everyone just wants to feel heard and respected. He shrugged. Plus, life's too short to spend it angry. We've got a whole universe to explore. I looked at this bizarre human who had turned my orderly station into controlled chaos, who had broken approximately 400 regulations, and who had somehow brought peace where trained diplomats had failed. Marcus Webb, you are either the most dangerous being I have ever encountered, or the most valuable. Why not both? He grinned that infuriating grin. Your people sent you here as an exchange student, but I suspect your planet knew exactly what it was doing. What do you mean? Humans are not cautious or fragile at all, are they? Your species is absolutely terrifying in the best possible way. You make friends with venomous creatures. You challenge warriors to strength contests. You solve ancient conflicts with pub logic. You are chaos incarnate, but somehow beneficial chaos. Marcus laughed. Yeah, we're a bit mad, I suppose. But that's what makes life interesting, right? Can't spend your whole existence following rules and being scared. Sometimes you've got to take risks, make mates, and see what happens. As I watched him return to stargazing, I realized that the galaxy had no idea what was coming. Earth had been quietly observed for decades, deemed interesting, but not particularly remarkable. But if Marcus Webb was any indication of what humanity was truly like, then every species in the cosmos was about to have their understanding of normal completely shattered. The humans were here, and nothing would ever be boring again that I activated my communicator. This is Administrator Vorn to Galactic Command, requesting immediate reassessment of humanity's threat level. Not because they are dangerous, but because they are going to accidentally revolutionize everything, and we need to be prepared. Behind me, Marcus had somehow convinced 3 different species to join him in singing something called Waltzing Matilda. The universe, I realized, was about to get very interesting indeed. So what did you think? Did this story surprise you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this sci-fi story, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe for more mind-blowing science fiction stories every week. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.